This has really become my new favorite thing. Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today seemed like a great day to talk about some new art supplies. Recently I've acquired quite a few new things. Actually, most of this stuff is for the purpose of testing out in a video, and just generally I've picked up a decent amount of hopefully interesting things that I figured I would share with you. I feel like I say this at the beginning of every haul video, but I really just feel like art supplies hauls are the one type of video where you can talk about a collection of different art supplies and also possibly talk about things that people have never heard of. That's one of the reasons why I personally love watching art supplies hauls, because there's always super interesting products that I've never heard of and sound super interesting and that I want to try out. And so hopefully in this video there might be something in here that interests you to possibly try out in the future. But also, you know me, I just really love talking about art supplies. The first thing I'm going to talk about is this. This is an Etcher watercolor sketchbook. It is A5, 6, some size that I'm not completely familiar with. It's the largest landscape cold press version at any rate, and I'm sure I've probably annotated exactly what size this is in fact, although just, you know, seeing it against my head probably tells you what size it is. I have wanted to try the Etcher sketchbooks since they first came out, however many months, years, whatever ago that was, but they're not the easiest thing to get in Canada, but finally I just sort of decided to make it my mission that I really wanted to finally try one of these out. Found a place where I could pick one up, and yes, here it is. I have actually already tried this out and then put it back in the box for the sake of this video. And if all goes well, this probably is the last video up on my channel. So if you're interested in hearing more in-depth thoughts of what I think of this sketchbook, you can check out that video. But here's the actual sketchbook. It has this nice white canvas linen textured hard cover, and yeah, I'm really excited to have this in my collection now, and spoiler alert, I do really like this, so I cannot wait to use this more in the future as well. Speaking of sketchbooks, I also picked up this Strathmore mixed media journal. I completely forgot to mention it in the main video, even though it was literally sitting on my desk right beside me, but I really love these softcover Strathmore books. The watercolor one is one of my absolute favorites. It is like one of the only sketchbooks that has truly 300 GSM watercolor paper in it, but a lot of the times I find that like almost too thick and just wasteful for what I want to draw in it. Most of the time for sketchbooks, I like having something that it is thick enough that if I choose to add a bit of watercolor or some wet media, it can handle it, but other than that, nothing too crazy. The next thing is also something that I have already tried out, and it is directly thanks to all of you lovely people commenting on one of my latest videos, recommending me different watercolor brushes that you loved. And it is the Da Vinci Casaneo quill brush in size 2, I believe. Also put it back in the package, not a smart idea. But yes, it is a size 2 quill brush. And like I said, I have tried this out and I also really love it. So thank you to anyone that recommended this brush kind to me. I could definitely see myself picking up some more of these in different sizes in the future. Also along the lines of recommendations from you all is the AFMAT Art Electric Pencil Sharpener. This is model PSB06 if anyone is interested. I'll probably have all of these products that I'm talking about listed and linked below for anyone that's interested in anything that I mentioned in this video. But this, I can't remember if it was a direct recommendation or something that I accidentally happened upon because somebody was talking about different AFMAT products. But regardless, when I saw this pencil sharpener, it is very specifically a long point pencil sharpener, which is actually something I'd never heard about before, which if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you might know that I notoriously do not like sharpening my main drawing pencils with a pencil sharpener because I find that it doesn't sharpen them enough. So I manually knife sharpen them to get that super crazy fine point. And when I saw that this pencil sharpener could do a super long point, I just had to try it out. So here's the pencil sharpener itself. It is an electric one, as I probably mentioned. It's in the title of the sharpener itself, but it is a rechargeable one, which I like. So it doesn't need to be continuously plugged in. It can charge from a USB port if you want, which is also really nice. It does have an adjustable point tip depth, whatever you want to call it, so you can adjust how sharp you want your pencils to actually be. But of course, the very first thing that I had to do when I got this was crank it to the absolute sharpest that it could sharpen. And here are the results. So I'm sure you can tell that is pretty sharp. Definitely a ton better than anything that I have been using. I do still really love my Mitsubishi HK, whatever that one is that I constantly talk about. I particularly love that for colored pencils though. And I haven't had any colored pencils out to test on this new AFMAT one. But the main thing that I was looking for when I bought this was sharpening my drawing pencils, and I am quite pleased with how sharp that thing can actually get them. Here's a comparison of one of my personal knife sharpening technique ones with the AFMAT one, and you can see it gets really, really close to what I attempt to achieve with a knife. So that thing is going to save me a ton of time and effort, and if for some reason I find that it's still not sharp enough, I can still go in and detail up the actual lead portion with a knife if I so choose. But overall, I'm really happy with that purchase. This is actually something that I've had for a very long time that I bought months ago, and it's just never come up in a video at any point, and I've always wanted to mention it because I think it's actually quite cool. But it is this Tri Art acrylic mediums. It's called the Explorer set, and what this is a group of acrylic mediums, as the title would suggest. There are 15 different types of acrylic mediums. So in here there is matte gel, low viscosity gel, copper cinder gel, walnut shell gel, gloss polymer medium, gloss self-leveling gel, retarder gel, crackle medium, dry media ground, matte modeling gel, matte final finish, matte glazing medium, plastic gel, glass gel, and UV reactive gloss medium. Now, I have had a bit of experience with playing around with a few different acrylic mediums. Like years ago, I did a painting for my parents where it had heavy gel and modeling paste, I believe, to create those like really thick paint whips. People assume that you're using like atrocious amounts of paint, which sometimes that does happen, but a lot of the time the paintings that have a lot of texture to them, it's tinted modeling paste and heavy gel, sort of a collection of those two things to create that texture. So it's been quite a while, and that's really the only experience that I've ever had with any sort of acrylic medium. But the reason that I bought this, other than I just thought, you know, having a little bit of a bunch of different things probably is going to come in handy in the future, is I really wanted to experiment with some of the more texture ones because I think they might look really cool and work really well for different kinds of prop making. Anything that has a grittier texture or something that can create a texture on a prop to give it a more realistic look, I figured might be a great thing to try out, because getting textures right can be really hard because a lot of the time you are making something out of a completely different material than it's supposed to look like. You know, like some sort of foam prop that needs to look like stone or something. So that is mostly what I bought this for, to play around with some more of the heavier texturing gels and walnut shell gel and all of that fun stuff. But I am excited to test these out just in general art supplies wise and see if there's anything that I want to maybe start implementing more and using more in some particular kind of work. The next thing is more of a group of products because I recently discovered that Muji had an online store and would ship within Canada, which thrilled me to no end. It has been a very, very long time since I've had the opportunity to go into a Muji, and there are a few staple items in stationery wise that I have never actually tried out, and I just really wanted to finally do so, so I picked them up. The first thing is one of their packs of their fairly infamous gel pens. I feel like if you have heard of Muji, especially in the like art space, you probably know them because of their gel pens. But I don't actually think I have any of these. I have some of their other types of pens, but this particular pack is their thinner ones. The ballpoint is 0.38 millimeters, which normal, like kind of standard ballpoint pens are 0.5 millimeters, so these are a bit finer, and this is a pack of 9 of their different colors. So this is not necessarily inherently art supplies related, although I could could very easily see myself sketching with some of these, just, you know, give some life into my sketchbook with having some line art in some different ink colors. So these very well could end up being used in some sort of a sketchbook video in the future. And we have my little bag of fun here that I did not unwrap, so excuse the wrapping sounds. And in the magical Muji bag, we have this group of loose pens. So we'll start with these ones since they're fairly related to the last ones. These are the gel pens, but in the clickable type, and these are in some different colors than that come in those pack. And I picked colors that I knew I would use super frequently. So we have a nice aqua, a more royal blue, and a purple. And they are in the 0.5 millimeter size. So a little thicker point, but again, probably could look really cool in a sketchbook just for some really fun colored pen line art. And the last thing in the pen department is one of these mechanical pencils that they make. This is called the low point gravity balance. I've seen it called a few things. Physically on the label, it's called balanced mechanical pencil. It is in a 0.3 millimeter size, which I love sketching with really fine mechanical pencils. So 0.2, 0.3 millimeters are generally where I like to be drawing with a mechanical pencil. So being able to get a Muji pencil in 0.3 millimeters I think is great, considering that, you know, they're not particularly like an art supply brand, but the low center of gravity concept was really interesting to me because one of the things that bothers me the most with mechanical pencils is how heavy some of them are. I know a lot of people really like, and one of the sort of more popular mechanical pencils are the Pentel Graph Gear 1000, I'm pretty sure is what they're called. They are fully metal mechanical pencils that come in a variety of sizes. They are really nice, but for me, they're just really heavy and I feel like I'm scratching into the paper. So this feels great. It definitely has, like, its weight is all in the tip there because the barrel point, like the grip, is metal and the rest is plastic. So can I get it? No. You can see just how low the point of gravity is there. So I'm very interested in drawing with this, seeing how it feels, and just, you know, you never can have too many mechanical pencils in your collection. The last couple of things from Muji are technically not art supplies, but I am going to use them as art supplies, and I also did not take those out of the wrapper, so excuse me a moment while I do that so you just don't hear bubble wrap. Yes, these were packaged very securely, which is great considering they're very breakable. Now that I've woken up half of the neighborhood with this bubble wrap, finally they are free. But these are just some trays. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure what they market these for. This one I know I saw them using as like a soap dish sort of situation. I think they just sort of have these as like a multi-purpose porcelain trays that you can sort of lay out your jewelry on, soap dish, all of that kind of fun stuff. But I bought these because these look like absolutely fantastic paint palettes. They really are just the perfect dimensions to use as a watercolor palette mixing area. They are not too massive, which I really like because a lot of the time I just don't have desk space to have like some massive porcelain tray or something out on my table. So they're very low profile in their like width and length dimensions, which is also why I bought the smaller one because, you know, sometimes you don't need that large of a mixing area depending on what you're working on, but this one I figured could lay beside my sketchbook or whatever I'm working on and just really be a great mixing area. And like I said, they are really, you can see, really shallow depth-wise and just really perfect for paint. So I'm really excited to try these out. I can't see them not working. I also don't mind having like a decent amount of palettes around because a lot of the time I don't want to like waste paint, especially since I'm using a watercolor. Most of the time, you know, you can reuse the extra paint that is on the dish pretty endlessly, and so I sometimes don't want to like clean a palette off before I start using it for something else, but those might not be the colors that I need. So having some more around my studio is always great. And that just gave me a great segue onto the next group of products, in which we have all of these, which absolutely will not even fit in frame. Yes, I am holding up an atrocious amount of French palettes, I think these are called, you know, ye old traditional paint palette type of thing, the stereotypical artist palette. These ones are packs of acrylic ones, and these ones are wood ones, which these back ones are absolutely massive. That is a 4-pack of absolutely massive wooden ones. But my main purpose for buying all of those palettes, even though I just sort of said that one can never have too many palettes around the studio, is not actually to use them as palettes. I might steal one for paint purposes, but the rest I actually want to decorate, I guess you could say. For some reason, I just thought of this concept that I thought it might be really cool in my studio to have like a stereotypical artist palette, but painted as a galaxy, since that's sort of my whole theme here on YouTube and stuff, and that sort of then made me think about, wow, it might be really cool if I pour painted some of them as decor or something, either for me or to sell in my store. So that is what I'm going to be looking at doing with those, is just experimenting with what I can do with them. So most likely those will end up in some sort of video in the future or studio vlog when I actually go to start painting them, decorating them, whatever I'm going to do with those. Next, we have something else that I'm really excited to test out in a video, and it is the Crayola Colors of the World. I bought the markers and the colored pencils. This is sort of one of those things that is a bit of a cross between something that I would find very interesting to test out in video form and also just a personal curiosity. The concept for this line of products is a color range of various skin tones, which, you know me, I'm generally painting and drawing portraits, so having a collection of colors that are specifically designed for possibly portrait work was very intriguing to me, especially considering it is Crayola stuff. So this is a concept that I would love more professional ranges to possibly consider doing, so I'm very interested in testing these out. I believe they also make them in crayon form, but I was mostly interested in the colored pencil, but then I thought about something to do with the markers, so picked up both of those. But yes, this is another product that I can't wait to bust into and actually try out and see what these are like. And the last thing, which is also very specifically video test related, is this Himi Jelly Cup Gouache set. This one is a 24 color one in the blue color, which is very pleasing to me. I know for a long time these jelly gouache sets only came in like pink and mint, I feel like, and you will not catch me dead with pink anything. The mint didn't really appeal to me, but this lovely royal blue absolutely did. No, but I personally really love the Jelly Cup Gouache sets, and I've had this sort of, not conspiracy, but theory that basically all Jelly Cup gouache is pretty much the same, just with different brands and labels slapped onto the paint itself. So I'm very interested in testing this out in a future video. This particular set also comes with a large palette mixing area sort of thing and brushes. So that's really nice. I haven't opened this at all, so even if I like physically opened this up, it's just going to be a bunch of labels on cups. But on the back you can kind of sort of see with a blue tint over it the various colors that are in this set. But yeah, this paint is always so satisfying to open and look at and use, and so I'm really excited to bust into this and play around with it. And those are all the art supplies that I've picked up recently. I would love to know if there's something new that you've picked up recently or maybe rediscovered and are really enjoying using. You know me, I always love a good art supply recommendation. But that is everything, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.